beginning of this channel, when if you look at a few of our videos, I told you that we're not gonna kind of deceive you guys. We're gonna be as thorough and as open as we can. Woo, this sounds ridiculous! What's up, guys? How you doing today? So today we have a 2014 BMW S1000RR HP4 edition, and we've already done a few mods on this bike. But what we wanted to film today, especially for you guys, is we're gonna do a little bit of ECU flashing and dyno tuning on it. Okay. So first, I wanted to point out we did throw a 520 chain and sprocket kit on there. It is driven steel sprockets with the EK ZVX3 chain and ZVMX3, that's what it is. So we did the Samco hoses, we've done a coolant flush, but that's nothing really pertaining to like the actual performance of the bike. So really performance-wise, what we wanted to show you is that we did a 520 chain and sprocket kit, which now, again, we're gonna baseline the bike now. Admittedly, we didn't have a camera, our old camera broke, so it's been a couple of weeks while we were trying to source a new camera. We have this camera, GoPro, work on your stuff, please. What we wanted to show you was this. This was the biggie that we wanted to actually show you guys. What he's sitting on, what he's already done. Now the customer brought us the bike as far as the exhaust configuration goes. He already brought us the bike with this exhaust configuration. So we'll get down here so you can actually see it. He does have an Akrapovic header. So this is a titanium header, but what you notice here is we're going into a link pipe with the stock catalytic converter and the Akrapovic muffler. Now this was like a slip-on that basically came stock with these bikes. So what we're gonna do, he bought a link pipe, so we're gonna get rid of the exhaust servo, and then what we're also gonna do is we're gonna get rid of the catalytic converter. In the meantime, what we wanted to do was... You good? In the meantime, what we wanted to do was baseline this bike, okay? We want to get you guys some baseline numbers. We're going to throw the link pipe on after this. So we're going to delete the catalytic converter, and then we're going to throw the link pipe on. We're going to re-baseline the bike, and then we'll actually dyno tune the bike, okay? So you'll get the multi-levels of the transformation of what we're going to do on this BMW today. Again, this is a 2014. This is a very common year now that we're getting a little bit later. Now we're in 2023. You're going to see these a little bit more. The HP4 is definitely more of the rare version. It's kind of like there. It comes with the forged wheels. I don't know what else it really... Oh, and the electronic suspension. It comes with the forged wheels and then the electronic suspension. Here's the link pipe. So this is basically going to go right here, right in this area. So we're going to get rid of this big old hunk of chunk. And this will be more or less like a straight pipe into the muffler. We should see some serious gains with all of this. If you guys are thinking about doing this, I highly recommend it. But again, we'll let the dyno do all the talking for us, really. And it'll prove our point as far as the kind of mods and the gains that you'll get from doing this. So we're going to get this thing out of here. We're going to get it on the dyno, and we're going to start doing some baselines. All right, guys. So we finally got the bike strapped down on the dyno. So we're going to recap again on the modifications that are done on this bike. So far, we have the EK 3D chain. It is a 520 conversion kit. So the 520, and I've said this in other videos, but the 520 kit is a little bit thinner of a chain. So in turn, and they got better O-rings in it. It's actually, I think it's like a QX ring, if I'm not mistaken, from EK. But needless to say, it has less resistance on the O-rings. And also the chain is a little bit lighter than the factory chain, so with those two things combined, we have less resistance on the motor, which in turn should equal a little bit more power whenever we're running it on the dyno here. So we have that kit. These are steel sprockets, and the owner did retain the stock gear ratio on this bike, so it is the factory gearing, just again a 520 kit. We have a full, not a full system, but he does have the Akrapovic header. So this is the titanium header, but so if you look, we're actually on the stock cat with the stock muffler that these come with. So we're going to modify this later. We're going to take this cat off. We're going to install that link pipe and re-dyno, re-baseline, and then go through with the full tuning process. We are going to do the baseline, we'll put the link pipe in, and then we'll re-baseline again, and we'll do the tune. So you guys can see all the stacks, so you can see how we retain, or how we pick up power on this particular bike here today, okay? He does have an aftermarket air filter. I cannot remember which one it is. We'll take a peek in there, we'll confirm, and we'll make sure that we get you guys all the right information. And I want to say he's on the stock velocity stacks and the stock IAT, or intake air temperature sensor. I believe all that is still in the factory location. It hasn't been modified yet. I want to say that's everything. We just got done checking it. We just warmed the bike up, so let's do some baselines, all right? So guys, this is the run. This was the best baseline that we could get with the catalytic converter still on the bike. If you notice here, it's not a bad air fuel ratio all the way up to about 7,500 RPM, and then from about 8,000 and on, we get pretty dang rich. It's in the low 12s, 12.4, 12.3, 12.3, 11.9, 11.9, 11.9, 11.9. So pretty rich, even all the way up to red line. It's pretty rich mixture, which is kind of like this is like a normal occurrence that we see with most bikes, that it runs a little rich whenever we see it with the catalytic converter. So I'm very curious to see what it's gonna do with just the link pipe on it, without it. Very good curve all in all too, a very linear curve. I can see why these bikes, they're just really sought after. This is actually an outstanding curve considering the bike's basically stock. Very happy with that curve. So what we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna go through, we're gonna throw on this link pipe, we're gonna let the bike cool down, we'll re-baseline the bike, and then we'll start all the tuning process once we get that cat out of the bike. All right guys, so we finally got the link pipe installed on this BMW S1000. It is beautiful, it sounds great. We have a couple of clips already of some of the backfiring and whatnot that you get with these things. It's pretty cool, honestly, for the BMW. They have a really nice, really clean ignition cut on these things. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna baseline it again with the link pipe, and then after that we're gonna start doing the ECU flash and dyno tuning portion of it, okay? So we already warmed it up. We're gonna just hop on it and do some pulls, all right? So as we look at this graph here, we picked up a peak power of 3.6 basically. So about 3.5 horsepower we picked up, and about a foot-pound of torque. Now again, that is peak versus peak. If we actually look at the graph a little bit lower, let's say around 7,500 RPM, we went from 103 to 106. So again, we picked up a solid 3-wheel gain throughout the power band just from taking the cat out. So here's 4-wheel, about 4-wheel horsepower right here at 12K, and about 2 foot-pounds, roughly 2 foot-pounds of torque. And notice the AFR also, it did lean it out quite a bit. So we're perfect almost down low. And then as we go up into the mid-range and the higher RPM, again, we're still running pretty fat. We're running pretty rich up top still. So I'm sure there's going to be a few things for us to correct in this ECU. I know these things make a little bit more power than this, so we're going to get on it. We're going to flash this ECU and get things moving. All right, guys. So a little update on the 2014 HP4. Quick little thing. So naturally, as luck would have it, we had a small issue with our interface. Basically, what an interface is a communication box, basically. Get into focus, there you go. So that is an interface box, and what that is it's the communication box between the software and the ECU. Meaning what it does is it converts the software data into the raw data so that it can rewrite the ECU, okay? We had a problem with it. It was some crazy weird issue. We got in touch with Woolwich, and long story short, we got it rectified, and even they were like, we've never seen this, we don't know what happened. So things happen in this world. A lot of stuff happens in the aftermarket world, but we worked through it, and anyway, we got the bike on the dyno, as you can see, and we just updated this new log box and this new interface, and we were able to go ahead and make changes on the bike. So in other words, we were able to ECU flash the bike. So we're about to rerun it, or rather, we are about to run it again after we've done the link pipe, the chain and sprocket kit, and what else did we do on this? Okay, so we did the link pipe, the Samco hoses. We're gonna see how the bike does real quick, and see if we can get some numbers up on the board here. So I'm really curious. I haven't really done one of these, or last one I've done has been a few years ago now. So really curious to see what kind of numbers it lays out. So here we go. Start making some noise and pissing off our neighbors. So we are winding down for the day. The fellows have left, and I'm the last one left again. We finished this HP4, and it did really well. Something that I want to tell you guys, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you the numbers. I'm gonna show you everything. Okay. I'm not, like I said in the beginning of this channel, when if you look at a few of our videos, I told you that we're not gonna kind of deceive you guys. We're gonna be as thorough and as open as we can, so that you can actually see, you know, legitimate numbers and whatnot. So it is an actual really nice day. We're about in the middle of October, beginning to middle of October right now. So it's actually really comfortable today. It was we had a cold front recently. Now granted, it was still in the 80s. You know, we're still pretty mid to upper 80s, but the humidity had dropped off quite a bit. So it was actually a pretty pleasant day today. So with that being said, let's go over the numbers and check how this bad boy did. And here, I don't think we actually like went over the bike yet, but this thing came out beautiful. He had a driven sprocket. I'm gonna wipe this all down. It's got a little bit of chain lube on it from the fresh chain. It's got an EK3D chain in the Light Tech rear. No, I'm sorry, he didn't go with Light Tech. He went with Bonamici Racing. We got to put all the belly pan on and all that jazz, but it came out really good though. So we did the carbon fiber covers for the frame. The owner already had some carbon fiber on the bike, so but anyway, we're gonna dress it all up. But let's look at these numbers. When he first came in, we had the HP4 baseline with the catalytic converter. All right, made 170 wheel with 79. All right, now another thing, the torque reading is a little high. Okay, it's actually, the actual torque reading is probably a little bit lower than this, and that is, man, how do I explain this without getting too technical? The torque reading is going to be a little on the high side. Okay, I could not get a clean pickup signal, a RPM pickup signal from the dyno. Okay, they use it's magnets. It's called an inductive pickup. All right, and it reads the signal from the ignition coils, and on these bike they're a 3-wire ignition coil system. So with that being said, it gets interference. It gets a lot of interference from the signal. So basically the tach jumps, it goes crazy. So whenever you actually look at it on the dyno, it's not a very clean line. It gets all staticky and stuff like that. It's really difficult to read it too when you're trying to tune. So on the new DynoJet, on the WinPep 8 software, what we're able to do is calculate RPM based on the gear ratio that we're running in. So we're running this bike in 4th gear. We kind of calculate the gear ratio based on the targeted RPM that we're trying to hit, and we kind of go from there. So with that being said, it is a little off our targeted RPM and everything. It's not exact, but it gets us a really good idea. So keep that in mind. The torque is actually probably a couple of foot-pounds lower. The actual number is probably, it's gonna be a little bit lower than what we read, okay? keep that in your minds going over the numbers, all right? All right, so baseline, 170 with almost 80 foot-pounds of torque. Again, that's probably a couple foot-pounds lower than what we read, but just to give you an idea. So then what we did, we installed the link pipe, and this also, the link pipe installation also came with the chain and sprocket installation as well, okay? We did the link pipe with the chain and sprockets, all right, as far as performance mods go. We then picked up about 3.5 wheel horsepower and about a foot-pound of torque. So, which isn't bad. That's actually pretty good. And there's some areas where we went from, okay, like let's take this one, for instance. This was around 11,700 RPM. We went from 167 to 171, 167 to 171, almost 172. So we picked up a good 4-wheel here. That's not bad, actually. It picked up pretty good horsepower with just installing those two things. So, but the real biggie is with the ECU flash and dyno tune. We picked up some massive power up here in the higher RPM. We actually picked up a solid, let's see, 15 wheel horsepower and a good 6 foot-pounds of torque, 7 foot-pounds of torque, if you will, from the baseline, which is outstanding. Very, very, very happy with those numbers. We picked up a bunch. Let's target another one here. We'll target 10,000 RPM. We were at 150 when he came in, 152 with the link pipe installed, and then almost 160 here. And this is at 10,000 RPM. So we picked up a solid 8 horsepower here and a good 10 horsepower, if you will, between stock, or between how he brought it in versus how he's leaving. So again, very, very good gains. Now, here's the other thing I wanted to show you guys, because again, I wanted to be very, very transparent with you. I'm like this with all my customers, okay? Let's look at the conditions now. So when it was stock with the cat and stock chain and sprocket, it was 85 degrees with 54% humidity, okay? And we had a standard correction factor of 1.03. So then when we installed the link pipe and the chain and sprocket, it was 88 degrees and 50% humidity with the same correction factor, okay? But still very similar conditions. It's a little hotter, a little less humidity, so very similar. Now the heat is very similar. We had 87, almost 88 degrees in the heat. However, look at our humidity now. Look how much it's dropped off. We're almost 25%. We're about, you know, let's say a good solid 20% to 15% lower, which is also going to lower that correction factor. We're now a percentage less. So it does kind of offset a little bit, but still, I just wanted to point that out to you guys. I said in the beginning, I wanted to be very transparent with you guys. We want to be open and honest. So, you know, just looking at the run conditions, that in itself is going to add a couple of horsepower just because it's much more favorable conditions, okay? As the weather is getting better, we're going to start making more and more power on these bikes naturally, just because the weather is just so much more favorable. The air is cooler, it's less wet. You know, that's what I always tell everyone. When the humidity is high, imagine trying to light water on fire. So as there's more water in the air, it's harder to combust it, meaning it's harder on the motor to make the power. So as that humidity drops and we have more oxygen, if you will, in the air, then the engine will naturally make more power. So whether or not there's a correction factor or not on this, it's just, it's science. That's how it works. So keep that in your minds also, but still very happy with the numbers that this thing produced. I mean, this is outstanding. Almost 190 wheel on pump gas on a bike that's, what, 9 years old now? That is outstanding. Like, these are very good numbers. I mean, bikes right now that we're tuning nowadays, the new Gixxers, some of the new ZX10s, those guys are producing numbers like this. And this bike did it, and this was made back in 2014. So granted, it's an HP4, but still very impressive numbers. Very, very, very stout numbers. So yeah, well, that's about it as far as everything on this bike. Like we say in other videos, we're very appreciative of you guys. We really love the support. Our numbers are growing. Everything is just going great. We're very excited. We're very happy for our future here. If you could, please leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think about the numbers. Tell us about things that you want to see in our future videos. Give us a call if you want to see your bike featured on our channel at 727-256-0001. We'd really appreciate the support. Guys, leave us some love, like, comment, all that stuff. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to see more videos like this. We're very informative. We're teaching you a lot. We're gonna start doing more shop talks. We're gonna start doing some more exciting videos. We have the land speed bike that we're updating. We're gonna update you guys very soon on the shop bike. I have purchased a few little goodies for that and we're waiting for them currently. So once we get those in, we'll start filming the bike again and start giving you guys updates on that. Especially now that FL2K is over, we'll be able to kind of get back to our regular work schedule and whatnot. So thank you guys again. We really love the support, and see you on another episode, all right? Be safe.